Hello everyone! Welcome to my very second episode of my LoFi Painting Sessions. I'm Scrain, pronouns he, him, and this is Scrain Games. Today we're going to go ahead and continue with the Glaivewraith Stalker that I started on the last episode. Last episode, if you remember, we got down the base paints, got a little bit of contrast in there at the very bottom. So today, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the wash and maybe hopefully start to get some highlights up on here. I'm not sure if we'll finish, but maybe we'll find out soon, eh? But before we start painting, I just wanted to give you a reminder to go ahead and give this channel a subscribe if you enjoy this, and if you really enjoy this video, go ahead and give the video a like, maybe a comment. Let me know what you're working on. As I get started, I want to invite you to go ahead and pull out your own paints, and paint along with me if you want. You don't necessarily have to use the same model or follow along at all, but maybe this will just be a nice invitation for you to enjoy some hobby work while you keep this on in the background. Just have something nice, mellow, and relaxing. If you are working on anything, feel free to share. There's going to be a Discord link down below, and there's a works in progress or completed projects channel in my Discord. I'm always interested to see what the community is working on, especially from my streaming community, but now that I'm going to YouTube, I want to extend that invitation to all of you as well. With that said, go ahead, pull out your paints, give the channel a subscribe if you haven't, give the video a like, click that bell for notifications about future videos, and let's go ahead and get painting, shall we? Alright friends, so as you can see here, I have my paper down on my wet palette. It's a little wrinkly on me, but that's okay. It's okay. Got this going on. This guy right up here, so I think a good place for us to start is going to be applying our washes. It's going to be our good next step. So to get started with that, I got this little brush here, so I can start moving things over. I'm going to go start off with a little bit of Agrax Earthshade on this. Kind of want to see how that's going to look at the very top there. Alright. A little bit of that. This is not too much. And I mean, this isn't like that great of a brush. I'm not really too worried about how I'm using this. So we're just gonna put some of this like right up on the here. Oh, this brush really just kind of loops this on, huh? Try and get a decent amount of that off. It's not pooling too much where I don't want it to, but if you look at that, that actually like really just makes this skull look a lot better to me. I'm just gonna kind of go like that a little bit. So hit it on this side as well. Go like that on there. I'll get nice kind of big strokes on here, and like make sure I'm hitting all of it, so we don't have any spots that are too weird. Alright, I'm gonna make sure we're hitting that as well. I want to avoid the hands. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of only hit the very top of this with this Agrax Earthshade. And then I'm gonna bring it down with some of the Druchu Violet, which is like a purple shading on here. I think that's gonna like kind of add something that should hopefully be pretty cool. We'll see. As I said, by the way, friends, I am very new to this. If y'all have any good thoughts or suggestions, ways I can improve, please feel free to let me know. I am always interested. Let me know in the comments. I'm just kind of like experimenting with some things right now. Seeing how these go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually pull out a paper towel for this as well. I was missing that before. So just kind of rinse this down real fast. friend with a paper towel. So, what I'm hoping is this little bit of bronze here. I'm hoping it's going to give this like a nice little rusted look. I'm going to paint some metal over that. But first, let's go ahead and hit this bottom here with a little bit of this Druchy Violet shade. Curious to see how that's going to end up looking for us. Well, there we go. It's a brand new pot, so I'm literally just opening this up fresh. Get a little bit of this onto the palette here. We don't need much, so I don't want to dip too much into there. And what I want to do with this is just start to like put down like that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back over this with a lot of white and a lot of the brighter purple. There we go. Just kind of want to like get a little bit like right there. And I'm not like too worried about getting like the purple wash down here, because again, this is gonna kind of like try and give us a little bit of a glow effect is the goal. Almost like it's kind of radiating, you know, purple from underneath where the little flames are. So we're just gonna kind of go like this a bit. I think this like little white undercoat is gonna help us a decent amount with that. Again, you know, I'm trying to go for like a nice kind of like weird purple look with this. Definitely want to like make this seem less natural. And I like really thinking like Haunter or Gengar kind of look. I don't know. If Haunter or Gengar was in this world and part of this faction, I don't know. I almost wonder if it would look like that. Kind of like the idea of painting these minis to have like a Pokemon theme to them. I think that's quite fun. Don't know how original it is. It's certainly something that I think is like fun and interesting anyway. I think that should be enough there. I really like how this Druchy Violet's coming on. Like you can kind of really start to see this coming along with this. Like the mini's really kind of coming along now that I got this added on. I feel like this is a lot more interesting in my opinion. A little bit more of this Irex Earth shade up on here, and we're just gonna kind of like hit up this top area real fast. That's this. Decent amount there. So that way it's kind of like drab, but then underneath you got that purple coming in. I think that ends up being like a really nice kind of blended look on there. I think I quite like that. That's quite good. So we're gonna give that just a moment to dry, I think. Just a little bit more like right here. right up along this edge, along the seam area. Don't want it to too much of this to feel like it's been ignored. I want to make sure that this is really well done. Let's put this exposure just a little bit for y'all. There we go. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So you can kind of see how each individual step is slowly building this guy up for us. I'm getting there. I'm just gonna add a little bit. Alright, along there for a minute. There we are. I'm getting kind of a little bit everywhere, and where I'm at right now, I'm pretty actually happy with just mixing in these two shades, kind of blending them together on this mini a little bit at least. Kind of really make sure that there isn't like a clear dividing line of where that begins and ends, but like it really kind of starts to blend nicely. Let's give that just a little bit longer. While we're waiting patiently for that paint to dry, what are you working on? What's new with all of you? Are there any major events happening in your life that you're looking forward to? Anything that you're maybe waiting patiently on, waiting for something to settle, waiting for something to begin, maybe something to end? What's going on with all of you? I know sometimes it can be really hard to wait, especially when you aren't sure how something is going to turn out. But in the end, it's almost always worth it. Just waiting, and once you find those results, I really hope that whatever you're waiting for ends up being really good for all of you. This might be a bit of a shorter painting session today, though. We'll see how it turns out. There are some things that I do need to take care of and address. We'll see. We will see, friends. Alright, so while that's getting ready, why don't we go ahead and... You know what I almost want to do? I'm going to try experimenting just a little bit. It's the Citadel dry color here, this luscious lilac. Curious to see what that's going to look like. Never used this before. Let's see what that's going to look like down at the bottom here. And I'm just using a basic makeup brush for this. I'm 90% certain I bought this makeup brush from the dollar store. So I'm just gonna try and there's a lot on there still. Ooh. Let's really just kind of get this out real fast. As much of this out as we can. Just try that once more. See if this gets us anything close to an edge. Something that we can just kind of start with before going full glazing and edge highlighting here. Try to pick up a little bit more from paper towel even. A bit like right there, I think. I think that's actually getting me a pretty decent look right now. Certainly don't hate it. Zoom in and y'all can see a little bit better. And that's turning out. So the hands are a bit more purple than what I would like right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to bring that up with very, very thin layers of like a white, or I'm thinking, you know, even almost just a deepkin flesh. And start to bring these up just a little bit more. I think that's not too bad right now. We got something good to work with, and we can start to kind of highlight from there. Excellent. Alright. It's giving me something pretty good to work with, so let's go ahead. And I'm gonna go ahead and use what would be a good next step here? So I'm thinking what I can use is a little bit of this. So I'm gonna use some of this right here, this Venetian purple base. This is a base paint and not a layer paint, but I'm gonna be curious to see what happens. A little bit of this stuff right here. I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna really try and thin this out, spread it around in a few different areas. We can try and thin this out in a few different ways by mixing it in with that Druchii Violet wash to give us like a slightly darker look, or we can mix it around with some white to kind of start to give us some nice edge highlights as needed. Let's go ahead and start off here. So I just want to kind of start to use just the flat of this brush. We're just going to kind of like start to glaze that up a little bit here. Even thin this out just a wee bit more for us, I think. A little bit more water up on here. Y'all can see what I'm doing. I just want to really, really, really thin this out and then like get off some of this excess water to this paper towel here. And I just kind of really want to like that's like a little bit like right here-ish. Some of the darker colors are preserved. And it looks like it's getting darker and more gray as we get closer to the top. And you just get a little bit of this Druchii Violet here. I'm just gonna kind of like bit like that, kind of start to give us some really interesting textures and colors. It's gonna kind of get pretty dark. I'm gonna try and like also tackle a little bit down at the bottom right about here. This to almost kind of look like it's flames coming up. Flames are going to have a slightly kind of darker color to them, right? Okay. kind of really like how that's starting to look there. Yeah, there's gonna be almost like spirit energy coming out of the ground, or coming out of like this little marker that's right here. I'm gonna paint that to look very much like stone in a little bit as well, but for that I want to make sure that we're also getting everything else that's purple, kind of, so we can get a really good idea of what this guy's gonna end up looking like for us. We're just using like very, very thin amounts of this purple. Yeah, really not a lot is going on to that. So I don't want to like build up any layers too fast. I kind of want to make sure I'm taking my time and preserving it. It's going a little bit slow with each of these. A little bit more of this Druchii Violet to mix into here. It's gonna kind of like play around a little bit, like right here, I think. Oh. I feel like this area right here, a little bit too gray. I think it was a little bit too ignored by the other steps that we've taken so far. Just want to make sure that we're kind of getting that just right. And then for a slightly brighter, more pastel look, we're going to use a little bit of this Daemonette hide right here, that little base. We're going to mix a little bit of that onto here as well. It's going to give us a slightly more pastel look. Kind of mix in a little bit like right there. So it's a slightly more pastel color. I'm thinking if we mix both of these in with a little bit of white, we can start to really get some interesting edge highlights as well. So I'm going to take a little bit of this right here, the Vallejo white color. I'm just going to add a few drops of that right up there, so we can kind of go ahead and start to experiment a little, just kind of mix them around and see what we get. I want to see what happens, so I take a little bit of this. I'm just going to start to kind of blend it in a little bit right here. So this like is a really just kind of real bright pastel color that we're making. Kind of like that for an edge highlight, but I'm curious to see what happens if I start to mix it in a little bit here. What does that get? It's much more muted. It's like almost like there's more black and gray in this. Then with the white, it's kind of getting us a much more muted color. So let's go ahead, kind of stick with this for a little bit. I'm going to keep this pretty thin. Start to just see what happens if I just tack it from like right about here. Very gently go like that. Like really try and hit these edges a decent amount, I think. I just want to make sure the paint doesn't dry too much on the dry brush, so we can come back to this later and have a working dry brush. Fine. Okay. Let's go ahead and just kind of even get a little bit more white up into this. It'd be real bright for me. Like that. Kind of like really kind of start to Needs a little bit more water is what this needs. Okay, I'll really kind of thin that out just a bit more now. And what I'm kind of doing is trying to highlight from the bottom. So I think that's what's going to give this like kind of a more interesting and ethereal kind of look to it. Is if like a lot of the lighting, the brighter colors are coming up from the ground. And I guess it's kind of considered object source lighting in a sense. I'm not sure. As I said, I am very new to menu painting, so I'm just kind of like guessing at a lot of this, figuring it out as I go. Darken this up just a little bit. What I want to do is just get like a little bit like right up into there. Just kind of like a little bit of a dip. Right about there. Fix that up there. Again, trying to keep this like pretty thin. I never want to get too the pigment too thick on the brush. Just trying to very gently glaze this where I can. Right up to there, give or take. Even that was just too much paint, so I'm gonna try and like make a little bit of that off, I think. And a little bit more there. Make it a little bit more white back onto this. I just wanna, brush. We're just gonna add some of that, and we're just going to start to mix that right back up again. Just kind of hit the right amount of color that I want to see. Let's get a little bit more water up onto this. Bring that here. That in. Keep that pretty thin. We're just gonna get some of that onto the paper towel. Perfect. Kinda. And a decent amount underneath too. Excellent. Yes, slightly brighter white right there. Starting to really like how this purple looks on this. Let's go ahead and kind of start to get this like dark again right here. And I want to like lead some of these lines down. kind of start to like correct a bunch of things a little bit later as we go along. Again, this slightly more muted color up onto here, I think, as well. I'm gonna start to kind of use that up towards this area where, like, I want to be a little bit grayer, I think. Just like that. We're just gonna kind of like really just kind of try and hit just the edges of this cloak. I don't want it to be like all over. Like that. I think that's pretty good. Now, this is a lot of just me kind of experimenting right now. I've never used a lot of these colors. It's my first time really trying anything with these purples. So I'm just kind of experimenting, seeing what I think of them. Trying out a few different color combinations. Different ideas of what I think might look good. I don't know if it's gonna look good, but I think it might look pretty decent. I'm pretty happy with how this is looking right now. Then we can really kind of experiment just a little bit more later on with the bases as well. I think that'll be fun. Delightful there. Again, it's nice and bright, like right here. I think getting this pretty bright is going to be pretty clutch, I think. I can kind of start to like this color right here. A little bit darker, a bit more muted, a little bit more muddied looking. Let's get a little bit more of that. Perfect. Get some more water up on this so we can thin this out nicely. Do like that. We're just gonna kind of like bring that up just a little bit like that. Kind of try and dull some of this. Here we go. That's not so bad, I think. Pretty happy with that. pretty thin along the way. Excellent. So this was absolutely, I think, turning out pretty good. I think I'm pretty happy with all of this so far. What about all of you? What are you all working on? If you are working on something and you aren't happy with it, don't worry about it. It's all paint. It's all something that you can kind of go back to and you can keep working on until you hit just exactly what you want with it. And it's all a learning experience. Right enough to so many smaller areas for myself. So we can really kind of start to see some of these highlights stand out just a little bit more. A little bit. Again, like, we're gonna go over the hands later, but you're just kind of hitting some of these areas with this slightly brighter light, or a slightly brighter purple. Might not be the worst idea. Oh no, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, no, I'll just kind of playing around, seeing how this works out. That, because I think I went too bright there. I don't like the way that looks, so we're just going to kind of go over that decent amount here. That's going to be something that we're definitely going to start to hit again a little bit later with some of that gray. Yeah, I can absolutely go over some of that with the gray a little bit later. I think that'll turn out pretty okay. Kind of make sure that, like, we're gonna blend this a little bit better, because I think that's just a bit too bright for where it is on the mini. But we can experiment a little and find out. That'll be probably a different painting session. I think I'm pretty happy with the purples for now. I don't want to get too much more on it here, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it a stream here. Or rather, one of the painting sessions. This is where he stands. I think those washes really kind of help define a bit more what he looks like. He looks a little less flat, and with those purple highlights, I think those are coming along pretty well. So I'm gonna like really kind of focus on getting some brighter gray up onto the stone thing. Maybe we can define that a bit better and work a little bit more on the gray up onto here. And hopefully next time we can get a little bit further along. I hope you all enjoyed this a lot, and I hope that you all like the progress. Thank you all again so much for tuning in. This was an absolutely delightful way to spend the night. I hope to see you again on my next LoFi Painting Session. And again, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and give the channel a subscribe and give the video a like. I hope to continue to put out more of these videos, and your encouragement is certainly going to go a long way to ensuring that I continue to put these out. If you have any suggestions or anything you'd like to add, please let me know down in the comments. Until then, please remember to be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, be kind to the planet. I'm Scrain, this was Scrain Games, and I hope to see you again for my next LoFi Painting Session. Peace out.